my dad's Mk3 Escort. Just left the MOT test centre, cruising. I actually love this car. Engine's starting to look like an engine again. I'm in the cockpit, proper race car. Spark. Can't hear the fuel pump. Should be going. Ain't the regulator supposed to be on the return? Absolute nightmare. Banging sounds. Me and Kat are going for a meal. Hope at McDonald's. Burrata and prosciutto, ham and cheese. Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes, and today you join me and my beautiful girlfriend Kat from the cockpit of my dad's 1985 1600 Auto Mk3 Escort. We've literally just left the MOT test centre where the car passed with flying colours, no issues whatsoever, which was kind of to be expected, seeing as the car has only done 33,000 miles. I do still need to give this car a proper wash and a wax. We've also got to stick the black rubber strips on the side of the car where the paintwork was done, and I'm going to give the car an oil change. But yeah, other than that, she's ready for the road. I do need to buy some road tax though, because unfortunately this car doesn't get free road tax because it's not classed as a historic vehicle. But yeah, other than that, it's ready for my dad to enjoy. But in the short term, it's actually going to become my daily, because as you'll know if you've been watching my videos, at the moment Maude, my Maude Mk2 Escort, is out of action. Right now I need to get back to the garage so that Kat can pick up her car, Winston, the plastic Fiesta, and then I need to get to work. Probably going to be late as usual. But this evening I'm actually going to go back down to see Gary to see if we can figure out what's going on with his Zetec Turbo 100E and see if we can actually get the engine to create a spark. Cruising. I actually love this car. This is like the perfect daily. Right, so work is done for the day and I'm back in the Mk3, just heading down to Gary's workshop. I'll tell you what, the more miles I do in this thing, the more I love it. It's not fast, but yeah, it's actually quite a pleasure to drive. A lot more comfortable than my cars. With it having such little power and, you know, the big wheels on it, it handles pretty well. You can just chuck it into the corner at whatever speed you want and it grips. You know, it's only been sensibly lowered, so you can still go over speed bumps fine. And because it's still running the original shock absorbers, you know, it's not harsh on the road or anything. I want to send a massive thanks and a shout out to a guy called Peter, who I met yesterday. Now he owns a Mk1 Fiesta XR2. It's a really original example, matching numbers. And yeah, I'm hoping to go back down there and wave my camera at the car at some point in the future. But yeah, Peter got in touch with me and said that he had a starter motor for a 1600 CVH. It was actually sent to him in error when he wanted to get a starter motor for his Fiesta. And yeah, he gave it to me for free. So now my dad's got a spare starter motor for the Mk3. And the starter motor on this car does actually make like a squeaking noise when you're starting the engine. I could probably get away with just greasing it up. Which I'm going to try at some point, and then I can keep the one that Peter gave me as a spare for the future. Now, one thing I want to tell you guys about, in August there's a show at Santa Pod called the Ford Show, and I'm actually thinking about getting my own club stand for that show. It's something that I've wanted to do ever since I started making YouTube videos. I think it'd be really cool to get some of your cars on my stand. The plan is to make a dedicated video on the day, going into a bit of detail about all the cars that are on the stand and, you know, chatting to the owners. If you guys want to be on camera, it's not a problem if you don't. But yeah, basically I need to book a stand, and it's in groups of 10 cars. So, you know, you either book a stand for 10 cars or 20 cars or 30 cars. And, you know, I have to pay up front for that amount of tickets. I don't know if it means that you guys would then buy your show tickets from me, or whether if some of you have already got your tickets, they can sort of offset that against the total that I need to pay for. Yeah, I'm not actually sure on the details, but yeah, for now, I'd just like to know if any of you guys would be interested in being on my stand. So yeah, if any of you guys out there are planning to go to the Ford Show at Santa Pod this year, and you fancy being on my official club stand, do drop me an email and let me know. If you just put the subject of the email club stand so that they're easy for me to find, that'd be great. And yeah, it'd be great to see loads of you down there on my club stand. All right, so I'm back down at Gary's workshop with Gary and his 100E, and he's actually put the valve cover back on and stuff since the last time I was here. Engine's starting to look like an engine again. Now, when I was speaking to Motorsport Electronics on the phone, they were saying that, you know, it could just be interference, you know, electrical noise causing the issue. And I think we mentioned last time that Gary had to change the cam sensor plug because he switched from an ST head to a normal blacktop head, and the cam sensor is different. So what I'm actually thinking is, because the cam sensor wire is shielded, see this sort of metal foil stuff, which is supposed to wrap around the whole length of the wire, and that's actually earthed at the ECU end. So if you don't have this shielding around the whole wire, I think that can mean that the electrical noise from your HT leads or any other wiring can interfere with this. I'm going to hook up my laptop to Gary's ME221 ECU. I'm in the cockpit, and what a cockpit it is. Proper race car. Gary's been messing around with his new hydro handbrake today. Going to get that fitted on the tunnel somehow. Said he might have to move his line lock out of the way. Do we just flick this down, yeah? Alright, so something I've just noticed is the trigger offset is set to 90, and on a Zetec or an ST170 that should be 75 or 255. I don't think that would cause it to not spark. I've set the trigger offset to 75. No, alright, I'll just set it to 255. As I say, I don't think this is the root of the issue. So the cam sensor is working, it's communicating with the ECU because it's going up. And when I was just doing that, this said crank synced, but I think that should say fully synced if it's all working properly. This tab here, cam pattern, which is obviously set to ST170, I'm just gonna switch that to none. Spark, got spark, yeah? Just needed to set that cam pattern to none. The cam sensor's working, the crank sensor's working, obviously the coil pack's working because you're getting a spark. I can't hear the fuel pump.
That's why I've opened the boot.
Is that the fuel pump, that one?
No.
Or this one?
I think this is just like your on and off switch.
Right.
So you turn that on, that goes up, flick up.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, the fuel pump just made a little noise. It should be going, shouldn't it?
Is there something on the engine that you can sort of undo to see if there's fuel coming to the rail?
Yeah, if we undo that and just put it into a cup, okay. It's worth a try, isn't it? Alright, so the way Gary's fuel system's set up is you've got a lift pump that goes to the swirl pot, and then another pump, a high pressure one, that obviously goes through this filter and then goes to the rail. So, I'm wondering if this pump is the issue. With that pipe off the rail and everything on, that should just be pumping in. Hang on a minute, ain't the regulator supposed to be on the return? I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure that the regulator goes on the return back to the tank. So yeah, I think if we're gonna test to see if we've got fuel like gushing through the lines, we need to crack off this other fuel line, which I'm guessing is the inlet, and that is more difficult to get to. This one of those Rover inlets?
Apparently, yeah, Rover Turbo, yeah.
Is it cracked off?
Yeah.
Well, we'll just see if it dribbles. Nah.
Well, I was just going to crack that.
Yeah, confirm that it's getting to the swirl pot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got a couple of bungs on there, innit? So
yeah.
I suppose, yeah, might as well.
Yeah, I know there's fuel coming out.
Really? Okay.
If we was to crack that and see what happens.
Yeah, man. Okay. Nothing. So what, should we try this one now, yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Process of elimination. Nothing. This pump definitely ain't making a noise, Gary. The lift pump's working because it's making a noise. It's getting to the swirl pot because you've undone them nuts and there's fuel coming out.
Because it goes in the top feed.
So, and it don't look like it's the filter. So this pump might not be doing its job. Alright, so we don't have a voltmeter, but we've got a bulb and a bulb holder, and I've just tested this on the battery, so this works. I'm going to hold this on these pins, and we'll just try electrics only, Gary. Okay, so we're getting power to the pump. Because I've tested both of them pins, that means that the earth's working, And it's getting power when you put the red key on.
It's getting power, but it's not pumping.
Yeah. So I just want to take the earth off of this pump, and then we'll try the electrics again, and I'll put my hand around it just to rule out, you know, the little vibration I can feel. I think is just because, you know, the boot area is vibrating from this one. So leave that one disconnected.
Okay.
And then go and crack it again.
Right.
And then I can be sure then any vibration I feel, you know what I mean?
Ready?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, nothing. That pump ain't working. So the question now is that pump getting a full 12 volts? Because obviously I've only tested it with a bulb holder. I really wish I brought my voltmeter. I'd guess that if you cracked that one off, you'd have fuel there.
Yeah.
And if you cracked that one off, you wouldn't have fuel there. If you really wanted to clarify, just maybe crack that off just to be 100% sure.
Yeah.
We've undone everything else. That one might gush out, Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so fuel's definitely getting to the pump, electricity's getting to the pump, and it's just not going no further. I'm gonna get back to the sparking issue. So we've confirmed that we get a spark when we turn the cam pattern off to none. So now I'm gonna switch it back to ST170. In theory, we shouldn't get a spark. Okay, my conclusion, I'm assuming you need a new high pressure pump.
That's on order.
All right. Don't mess about, do you? And I'll speak again to Motorsport Electronics tomorrow on the phone and just tell them everything that I've done and everything I've found. But ultimately, we've confirmed that the coil pack's working, the crank sensor's working. I mean, the cam sensor is communicating with the ECU because the numbers are going up. The crank sensor is communicating with the ECU because the numbers are going up on the laptop. And you are getting a spark when you turn that cam sensor off. And the cam belt's not coming off. I reckon in part 3 we'll have this thing running, hopefully. But yeah, as I say, Gary, I'll get on to Motorsport Electronics, and yeah, I'll be back soon.
Yeah, talk to the experts.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. All right, so back at home with my beautiful girlfriend Kat. For the rest of this week, I'm going to try and go around the garage a good few times on my breaks and before work to make some progress on the paint job on Maude, my Maude or Mk2 Escort. This weekend, I'm planning to go to a car meet, a breakfast meet, which you'll be able to see in the next video. But on Saturday, I'm going to be taking care of a couple of little jobs on Esther, my ST170 powered Mk1 Escort, and my dad's Mk3. And then I need to decide which one of those two cars I'm going to be taking to the meet. So I'm going to continue this video at the weekend. So I'll see you in a sec. Hello, right, so a few days have passed since the last clip, and I'm currently in my dad's Mk3 Escort. Since the last clip, I've spoken again to the guys at Motorsport Electronics to let them know what I found when I was doing the tests on Gary's 100E. As usual, they've been very helpful. If any of you guys are in the market for an ECU for your car, definitely check out Motorsport Electronics. I'll leave a link to their website and their social media accounts in the description of this video. Now, the guys at Motorsport Electronics explained to me that 99.9% of people that are running a normal blacktop Z-Tech actually leave the cam pattern switch off. The ECU doesn't need the cam sensor to work. Maude, my Maude or Mk2 Escort, actually doesn't have a cam sensor fitted at all. So what I'm thinking is, once Gary has got his new fuel pump rigged up, which he has now received, all we need to do is basically turn the cam pattern to none, and the engine should run. I was also speaking to the guys about the fact that Gary's ECU seems to have the trigger offset set to 90 degrees. And we've kind of come to the conclusion that the car was obviously mapped with the trigger angle set to 90 degrees. So basically, next time I go down to Gary's, I'm going to switch the trigger offset back to 90 degrees and leave the cam pattern on none. And yeah, I reckon the engine should fire up then. So yeah, I'm really confident that next time I go down to see Gary, we'll have his 100E running. All right, so quite a few hours have passed and I've been around the garage messing around with the cars for a few hours off camera. I'm really pushed for time today because I'm being dragged to a family meal with Kat and her family. Although to be fair, it is also to celebrate my birthday tomorrow. Now I'm gonna start with Esther and show you what I got up to yesterday before work. Basically, I've now re-plumbed in the heater, which is an absolute nightmare. It took me about 2 hours. The procedure is that I need to do the Jubilee clips up so they're really small so that they fit through that square hole in the bulkhead, then hang the Jubilee clips on the copper pipes for the heater, then push the rubber hose on, then go inside and open up the Jubilee clip so that it can slide over the rubber hose, then push the rubber hose on fully and then do it up. Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare. The Jubilee clips have to be a certain orientation as well, so I ended up having to sort of start again. But yeah, if you look up there, you can see that the Jubilee clips are done up inside. And so far, I haven't had any leaks from the heater. So yeah, looks like the heater core is good. I can only guess that the leak before was because the Jubilee clip on the water rail down there wasn't biting on the fitting properly, which I didn't realise until I'd started dismantling it. And then I'm guessing that the water was leaking there and then running down the hose and then into the car. Now I do intend to, at some point in the near future, remove the heater box and basically file out that square hole just to make life easier. Get rid of the sharp edges on that square hole and sort of line it with, you know, some sort of rubber grommet or something, and then hook the hoses back up. And obviously when I do that, I'll then refit the plate that goes there. Where before I sort of enlarged the two holes in that plate, I'm probably going to turn it into one big oval and again line that with some sort of grommet. And the aftermarket, one of those plates that Retro Ford sells, actually is, you know, an oval hole rather than two larger round holes. Now when I came around here today, I wanted to have a look at a couple of things that have been annoying me on this car. There's some banging sounds coming from the rear end, which I thought was either the fuel tank vibrating about or the exhaust, or both. Now what I did today is I've put some of this sort of foam tape in between the tank strap and the tank, and yeah, there's still a bit of a vibration coming from the tank, but it's a little bit better than it was. I do want to put some rubber in here rather than this foam, but this foam was just something that I had in the garage. As for the exhaust, the joint where this piece meets the front piece of the centre section, because this exhaust system is actually in 3 pieces plus the manifold. Yeah, that joint was a bit loose, meaning that the box was able to rotate a bit. This exhaust system is a really good fit, but the problem with it is there's only one mount on the back box, which is here. And yeah, it inevitably means that the back box sort of hangs like this. So as I've said before, I do intend to get, you know, a bracket welded on the side of this back box and then just put one of those cotton reel mounts through the boot floor or something. But yeah, for now I was able to twist it all this way, do that clamp up that I didn't realise was loose, and it is a lot better. You know, I'm unable to sort of bang it by hand. When you go over bumps, this back box does, you know, touch this shackle, or this bolt hits the chassis. So yeah, they're the 2 places that I think it is knocking, and it is vastly improved now. The hooks that are sort of here, there's one that side that sort of taps on the anti-tramp bar, I think, and around here on the system, I'll probably go and show you. Yeah, there is another little bracket where, again, I could put one of those cotton reel mounts and drill a hole in the floor, so I think that sometimes bangs on the floor. But yeah, ultimately, I took John for a rip earlier, which he enjoyed, and yeah, it seemed a lot better than it has been, so happy days. Other than that, Esther has had a wash today, gave her a snow foam, a shampoo, and I used that spray-on ceramic protection stuff. She's looking mint now. She wasn't dirty that much, to be honest, anyway. Haven't really been driving her much. But yeah, I'm still undecided which car to take with me tomorrow, whether I'm going to take Esther or my dad's Mk3, and I spent a little bit of time on the Mk3 today as well. So today I fitted the black strips back onto the panels that were painted by my good friend Rob. In fact, Rob was the one that advised me to use the 3M double-sided tape to stick those black strips on. I was going to use, you know, some sort of glue, and I'm glad I didn't. So yeah, massive thanks to you, Rob, for telling me how to do it before I started whacking a load of glue on the car. But yeah, it definitely looks a lot better now with the black strips on. And again, the Mk3 has also had a wash today, and again, that spray on ceramic wax stuff. Now, as I mentioned earlier, me and Kat are going for a meal later. I'm hoping we're going to McDonald's, but it's probably going to be some sort of Italian restaurant. This evening is actually the Chelsea cruise, and the restaurant we're going to is about 20 minutes away from Chelsea, so there might be a chance that I get to pass through Chelsea later. But yeah, either way, I'm going to continue this video later, so I'll see you in a sec. All right, so after a quick wash and a change of clothes, we're now on the way to the restaurant, and we decided to take the Mk3. Why not? Now, I know I didn't film anything around the garage today, but it all was really little jobs, and it's all stuff that I'm going to have to revisit anyway. And in fact, I'm going to have to revisit another thing on Esther, and that's the fuse box wiring. When we was just about to leave the garage, the alternator light wasn't coming on when you put the first click on the key, and it turned out to be the wiring down by the fuse box. I thought it was the wiring behind the dash at first, but that isn't the case. Now, another thing I forgot to mention about Esther is that I've now got the Revolution alloys fitted back to the front of her, and I picked up a pair of Yokohama A539 tyres from my favourite tyre shop, Southall Discount Tyres. And yeah, I will be getting some NS2Rs next time, and the shipment from Japan is going to be coming in next month. So yeah, the next time I need tyres, I should be able to get those Nankangs. Massive shout and a thanks to everyone who got in touch to say that they knew places that had the Nankangs in stock. Most of the places will show stock on the website, but they don't actually have any physical stock. When you phone them, they say that they're on back order because they're waiting for the same shipment. There was a couple of people that did get in touch and say that they knew someone who actually had physical stock of the NS2Rs. But yeah, funds are a bit tight at the moment for me to go and buy another pair of tyres when I'd already ordered some from Southall Tyres. So yeah, we're gonna make our way to the restaurant now. I'll probably chuck in a few cheeky clips of whatever dishes we decide to get, and we'll see if we make it to Chelsea later on. Seen so many classic cars on the way to this restaurant, I keep forgetting to film. How's that for an old school Porsche? E30. Bit of UCAT, Fiat 500. Cool little Italian classic. Starting with some burrata and prosciutto, ham and cheese.
Polenta and goat cheese.
The Italian grub was banging. Cat's feeling merry after a couple of Aperol spritzers. It's actually only 7:30, so we're going to head to Chelsea. We're both overdressed for the occasion, but this is probably going to be the only time we actually get there at a sensible hour. Yeah. I think it's the 46th anniversary this month as well, so it should be a good one. Seats look familiar? Decided to leave a bit early because we've got to be up early tomorrow for the breakfast car meet, which you'll be able to see in the next video. So many cool cars at Chelsea this evening. Yeah, really glad that I actually turned up, and I think we need to start getting there early like we did tonight in future. I had so many people come over and compliment me on my videos tonight, which I really appreciate. So yeah, big shout to everyone who did come and say hello. I'm still undecided which car we should take to the breakfast meet tomorrow. Yeah, I think I'm just going to make my mind up in the morning. So if you thought this video was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to my social media and my website. I'll also leave my email address down there for anyone who wants to contact me. But other than that, until next time, from me and Kat, thanks for watching.